Let's look at the Python project. This project is going to let you put together some of the skills that you've already learned in Python to create a program that tells a story. You're going to really focus on two commands that you know at this point. One is the input command that lets you get user input, and the second is the print command that's going to let you take that user input and combine it with a print state with other information that you want to print in a process we call concatenation. So let's look at how we're going to do that assignment. When you open up the idle, you're going to first put in comments that have your information. So you'll have a comment tag that has your name. Notice that my comment tags always start with a number sign. That lets the idle know, or it's a Python symbol that lets the program know that you are writing a comment. So it doesn't do anything in those statements. It looks at it just like it's directions or a comment. Okay, then we're going to define our main function, and you already know how to do that. You're going to put def main. Don't forget the two parentheses and the colon. That's real important. And notice that I do that all the way at the left margin. I'm defining a main function, so everything that goes underneath the main function now will be indented. Okay, so it's like, here's my main function, and then the directions for my main function are inside. Now, you've learned about pseudocode where you're writing yourself a plan or algorithm before you ever start your program. I often use my pseudocode in comment tags to help me remember what my program needs to have. So I know my program has to ask the user for 4 different questions. I need to get user input, and I'm going to assign that user input to different variables. So I right here, and your program doesn't need to do this, but you might find it helpful, is make a comment tag that reminds you to ask 4 questions to get user input. And you may even want to put in that comment tag that you're going to assign it a variable. Now, I'm only going to give you an example of like 2 that we're going to look at, but then when you do your own program, you're going to want to do ask 4 questions. Now, important is that you indent either by spacing or by using the tab key. So I've decided to have 2 different variables. The first one, my story is going to be about where somebody might want to go on vacation. So I have a descriptive variable, place, equals, and that place variable will be assigned whatever the user puts in here. And that's why we use variables, because I can ask that question and you might say the mountains and I might say Hawaii, and it won't make any difference when it comes to printing out the story, because I'm just going to put the variable name place in, and that way any place that the user enters will be included in my story. And then I want them to put in an adjective. So I say input, enter an adjective, so that I can include in my story a little bit of description of the place that the person would like to go on vacation. Okay. Um, depending on what your story is, come up with 4 different input questions that you input, which will be questions that you're going to ask the user. Assign those to variables. Notice you assign something by giving it a variable name, an equal sign. Equals is your assignment operator, and then input is telling the computer that whatever the person enters as an answer to this question, we're going to assign it to that variable. Okay, so yours will have at least 4. You can do more if you want, but for right now, I'm just going to demonstrate with 2. Now, the next thing I need to do when I collect all the information from the user is I'm going to print that information back to the user so that they can read a little story. So again, I'm going to give myself a little comment here that reminds me that I need to print the story for the user, right? And so again, I have to indent. And here is where I'm going to take print statements that always start out with the word print, because that's my command. And then in parentheses, in quotes, will be whatever I want to have printed. So I'm going to say print, quote, or parentheses, quote, this summer I'm going to, and I put a space there because I want a space between the word to and the variable, which will be the place that the person enters. Now, the output is going to be exactly what I have in quotes. But now I want to add what the user has told me when they answered the question, where would you like to go on vacation? So I concatenate by putting the plus sign, the variable name of where that will enter exactly what they have put in as their answer for would you like to go on vacation. And then I know with the sentence I have to end with a period, so then I'm going to put the plus sign again to concatenate. And in quote marks, I want it to print a period. End quote, and then close my parentheses. I want it to have something that describes or uses that adjective that I asked for. So I'm going to go print. And I'm going to start my sentence off with the name that wherever they said their place was that they wanted to go on vacation. So I'm going to put parentheses place plus, which is my concatenating operator, quote, space, is described as space plus the variable adjective plus the rest of the sentence. So I really want to go there. Okay, and then I'm going to run my program now so that you can see what the output is. Oops, nothing happened, right? Why didn't anything happen? Because I've defined my main function, but I didn't actually call my main function. And by calling my main function, when I type main, I'm telling the computer program, do exactly what these instructions are in the main function. All right, so now let's see if it works. So I click run, and it's going to ask me, where would you like to go on vacation? So I'm going to say Hawaii. And it tells me to enter an adjective. Now I could put cold or freezing, but since I know Hawaii has kind of balmy weather, I'm going to put balmy. And I'm going to click OK. And now I've got the beginning of my story. This summer I am going to Hawaii. Hawaii is described as balmy, so I really want to go there. Right? Now, a couple things to watch out for that can go wrong. What if I don't put a space before my quote mark there? I just put it is described as, quote, and then I have a space plus adjective. Now when I run my program and I answer, notice how it ran these two words together. So the space outside of the quote doesn't make any difference. I could have a million spaces there and it wouldn't make any difference. If I want to have a space after the word as, so that I have it before my variable, I have to put it within the quote marks, because whatever I have in the quote marks is what's going to appear on this screen. So hopefully this will help you out a little bit as you're working on your program. Remember that you've got to have at least 4 different questions that you're asking the user for, and you're going to need to have at least 2, if not more, print statements. If you have any questions, my contact information is on the home page, and you're more than welcome to give me a call, and I'll be glad to help you further with the assignment. Thank you.